Yo, what's good, guys? In this quick little screencast, we're going to be talking about processes in Elixir. Now, these processes shouldn't be confused with like operating system processes. I sort of like to think of them as like mini environments, although I'm not sure if that's like a correct analogy, but that's just how I think of it. And some people even compare them to like objects, but I would say that they're like different than objects in an object-oriented languages because they're sort of disassociated from each other or isolated, I think is how Elixir would say it. They're isolated from each other. So basically, this is sort of like the basis of concurrency and the fact that like Erlang and Elixir applications are like super fault tolerant. It's because of processes, right? So what the heck is a process? Enough talking. So let's open up the Elixir shell here. We'll say IEX, and you can create a process by using spawn. The spawn function. But first of all, just so you know, we're in a process right now. So we'll look at each process has an ID. We'll look at that in a second. But check this out. We're just going to say spawn. You know what? I'll show you right now. If we type self, it'll show us the ID of the process that we're currently in. So we'll do self, and this is the process ID. The PID is 0.81, etc. Right? But we can spawn new processes. So we can do spawn. And the spawn function takes an anonymous function, and we can just do whatever we want. So let's just add some stuff. So we'll say 5 plus 5, and we'll close that. And this will give us a new process ID, and the result, or the new process ID of this function is, or of this process, or of running spawn is 0.84. And this is sort of like the unique ID, okay? But what happened now is that we currently, watch, if we do self again, we still have this process up here. But this one that we spawned here is dead, and we can check that by doing something like, well, let's create a new process. Let's actually give it a name this time. So new process, we'll just say new proc, and we'll do spawn, and we'll say IO puts hello. Okay, so now if we do new process, we get 87. That's our PID, but watch this. We can check if it's alive by doing process.alive using that function and passing it in the name of our process. And you can see that it's false. However, the process that we're currently in, which is represented by self, is alive. Okay? Hopefully that made some sense. Now, so, you know, what the heck is the point of that? Let's actually give our current process that we're in a name. So we're just going to call this current process. We'll say this is going to be self. Okay, so as you can see right here, if we do current proc, we're going to get 81. So let me clear this. Some processes we can like send messages between each other. And processes have these things called mailboxes, which are, you know, a little hard to grasp, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So let me just open this program right here called Pinta, and basically, so let's just imagine that this is our process that we're currently in. This is 81, and again, I know this is pretty bogus, but I don't know, I'm just trying to see if this will help. 0.81.0, that's our process. Geez, that was terrible. Okay, so basically, there's this little box in our process called the mailbox. I think that's what they call it. And you can send messages to it from other processes. So say there's another process here, and this one also has a box. It can send stuff to this one, okay? So I'm sorry if that was kind of confusing, but let's just try to send messages between processes. You can also send a message to your own process, or to the process that you're currently in. So let's do that. So we can use a pretty intuitive function called send. So we can say send, and let's send it to self, which is the current process. And let's just send like an atom that says Linux. Whoops, well, we got that because we didn't put braces here. So see, now we send this message to the self process, which if we do self is the 81, the one with the process ID of .81. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this one short, but what we can do is we can see all the messages that are inside of a process by typing flush. So if I do flush, we'll get the messages that have been passed to the current process. We can also, you can send whatever you want. So we can also do something using a construct called receives, which goes through all the messages in a mailbox and uses pattern matching to look for a match. So let's send self, and we'll send a tuple. So we'll say Linux and chill, and there we go. Now we can do a receive and send Linux as the tagged tuple basically, and we'll send a message as well, and it'll use pattern matching and return the message. Okay, so as you can see, we've sent Linux and chill, and it pattern matched the Linux part, and it gave us back the message, which was and chill. So there's nothing in our mailbox anymore because we basically handled it. And okay, I'm just gonna leave that there. That's basically the sort of foundation for processes and starting them and sending messages. In the next tutorial, we'll look at probably sending messages between different processes and maybe gen server and agents and stuff like that. So catch you guys in the next one. Take care.